What kind of learner are you? Are you a note-for-note learner or are you a conceptual learner? Why? Because if you're not using both, then you're slowing down your progress. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you how to use both to make sure you find your own voice and explore your own creativity. To those of you who may not know who I am, I'm Damani, the founder of DrumTrax, and I'm sure this video probably won't get a ton of views because I'm not directly teaching a flashy drum fill or a drum tip that you can share with your drum homies, but to those of you who watch this video to the end and grasp the concept that I'm gonna talk about, and I promise you, it's gonna change the way that you approach practicing and getting better at the drums forever. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what is note-for-note learning? In short, it's copying or transcribing, and this happens a lot in the beginning of a drummer's journey, in the middle as well, but in the beginning it happens a lot when you start to play and you see somebody that you love, like your big bro or your big homie or whoever, you know, maybe it's someone on YouTube, play the drums, you see them play and you copy what they do because you want to do what they're doing, you're inspired by them. And this isn't a bad thing, it's actually really good because what better way to get better at anything than to copy the expert who already knows how to do it really well? Because the next thing you know, you copy this expert and now you're playing drum grooves and you're keeping time, and that's amazing, right? We learn our first rudiments, drum grooves, and drum fills this way. And this could be amazing, but if that's all you do, then you'll run into the issue of just being a copycat.
No! God! Please, no! No!
Which leads to you not being unique because you haven't found your own voice. You haven't explored your own creativity. You're skilled, but you're not unique.
No!
Now, conceptual learning is when you take something that you've learned, whether you saw someone do it, whether you heard it on a record, or even if you learned it note for note, and you break it down, you deconstruct it, and take the pieces that really speak to you and make it your own by experimenting with it in different ways so that you can utilize this concept outside of the context that you learned it in, even though you learned it note for note. Now, this result, and when I say this result, I mean being able to use a note for note thing that you've learned in a different context, in a totally different way, outside of what you were originally taught, that is the difference between someone who is only a note for note learner and someone who is a conceptual learner. Listen, you can learn a drum fill here on YouTube or anywhere, especially if you learn it note for note, but usually you'll end up having the issue of not being able to play it in a different context other than what it was taught. That means if it doesn't start on the exact same beat that it was taught at, if it's not in the same tempo, sometimes it could be at the same tempo, but it's just trying to put it in a different song, they struggle with trying to do that because they learned it note for note in a specific context in a very specific way, but they did not grasp the concept so that they can utilize it in other settings and other contexts. Now, this is not an either or thing. This is not like, oh, this person is a note for note learner and they can't be a conceptual learner. No, that's not the case. You can do both, and this is how you can benefit from doing both. Number one, all learning starts with copying, AKA transcribing, AKA learning note for note. And this is one of the greatest tools we have for learning the language of music or anything for that matter. That takes us to step two. You cannot stay in note for note learning 100% of the time. You have to take what you've learned note for note, break it down into the concept of that drum fill, that chop, that groove, whatever it is, and make sure you internalize the concept. And then there's number three. You need to experiment with this concept outside of the context that it was taught in. For example, let's say you learned a drum fill that was a 16th note drum fill and it happens to be 16 note long and it starts on the downbeat of 1. Well, what happens if you start on the downbeat of 2? Or what if you start on the E of 3? You want to start somewhere and experiment and see what happens. Heck, only play a part of that 16th note drum fill to start and finish it out with a drum pattern that you already know or something that you create. This is how you become unique. This is how you find your own voice and explore your own creativity. And that's the goal, to not just be a good drummer, but to be uniquely you. Now, I'm not trying to take all of your time with this video, so I'll end with this. All of the drum greats and legends that we know of have two things in common. And it's not that they all play blazing fast chops or crazy polyrhythmic independence, crazy stuff. That's not it. But they do have two things in common. They are highly skilled and they have their own voice. They're unique. And they become respected and sought after, not just for their skill, but for their individuality and their own voice. Now, if you found value in this video, please hit the like button and share this video with someone else that you think needs to hear this information. And also, if you like this type of content, I know it's not like a direct drum lesson, but if you like this type of content, let me know in the comments and we'll make more content just like this. And if you need help on the path to finding your own voice and exploring your own creativity, we're here to help. And while we have over 200 drumless play-along tracks for you to stream for free on the app, our biggest value goes to our premium subscribers on the app who get access to over 350 drum lessons and courses that teach note for note and conceptually. We have practice routines, we have interactive sheds where you can build and work on your creativity. But not only that, we've also upped the value with our private Facebook group. We do direct coaching and go live every week directly answering your questions. We also do student reviews in these live Q&A so that you can send in a video of yourself playing, get direct feedback based on the goal you have for yourself as a drummer. And we usually do a 7-day trial for 99 cents so that you can test it out. But for those of you who've watched all the way to this point in the video, there is a special link only on this video that if you click it, you'll get an entire month, 30 days for 99 cents to try it out. So if you're ready to take your drumming to the next level, click the link and be sure to take advantage of that special offer. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.